Quick question before we start. You know how basically every piece of technology you own, your phone, your car, your laptop, your smart TV, all of it runs on these tiny little chips, right? Semiconductors, the things that basically run the modern world nowadays. You know where those chips come from? Taiwan, South Korea, the Netherlands, the United States, a few other places, I believe. You know what continent is basically a blank on that map? South America, or at least it was, because a Brazilian university, guys, just built something that no one anywhere in the world has ever built before, and I sound like Trump when I say this, right? And I think it's one of the most interesting and underreported stories coming out of Brazil right now. Let me show you. Okay, so welcome back, or welcome for the first time. This is Brazil Unsubtitled, and we talk about Brazil using the English language, okay? So you don't need to find the subtitles anywhere, it's not necessary. And today we're going deep on something that honestly blew my mind when I first read about it. What is that exactly? USP, the University of São Paulo, built a microchip factory. A real one, guys, on their campus in São Paulo. And not just any factory. They built what they're calling the first portable, modular, sustainable semiconductor factory in the world. They named it the Pocket Fab, and the name basically says it all. But before I get into what makes this thing so wild, I need to give you a little bit of context, because this story only makes sense when you understand the problem it's trying to solve. This video is going really well, right? I'm sorry to interrupt, I just want to ask you to subscribe to the channel in case you haven't, and put our channel on your list of favorites among so many bad channels that you follow. Guys, subscribing is very important for you to help us in the mission of becoming the best channel about Brazil in English on the whole YouTube. I'm pretty sure we are already, but I just want a confirmation. Also, we have three categories. You can be a tourist, you can be a resident, or you can be a citizen and become a BU national, as we like to say, part of the BU Nation, a member of this so beloved channel. Guys, it's on your hands to help us, and we count on you. Let's get back to the video. So here's something most people don't think about. Chips are basically the oil of the 21st century, guys. Semiconductors are in everything. Smartphones, cars, medical equipment, defense systems, satellites, AI servers. Half of global GDP is directly or indirectly tied to semiconductors at this point. If the chip supply gets disrupted, entire economies grind to a halt. We saw this during COVID. Remember when car companies had to pause production because they couldn't get chips? That was the same problem. Now, here's where Brazil comes in, or rather, where it doesn't. Brazil is one of the 5 biggest consumers of electronics in the entire world. Think about that. 215 million people in this country, a huge growing middle class, massive demand. But when it comes to actually making the chips that power all those electronics, Brazil is basically not in the game. The Ministry of Science and Technology estimated that more than 85% of the chips used in Brazil are imported. In 2025 alone, the country spent nearly $6 billion just on semiconductor imports, with 45% of that going straight to China. The trade deficit in the electronics sector hit over $41 billion that same year. And this isn't just an economic problem, guys. It's a national security problem. When the chips you depend upon are made in other countries by other companies under other governments' rules, you're vulnerable. And you don't need to study international relations to understand that. China's relationship with Taiwan, for example, geopolitical tensions, export restrictions, all of that affects Brazil, even though Brazil has nothing to do with any of it. So the question is, why hasn't Brazil built its own chip industry? And the answer is very simple and kind of brutal. Building a conventional semiconductor factory, what the industry calls a fab, costs somewhere between $2 and $10 billion. A cutting-edge one, we're talking about $150 to $200 billion, guys. That's what TSMC or Samsung spends. That's not something a university or even most governments can just write a check for. And that's exactly where USP comes in. The story of how this project started is actually great. The rector of USP, the university's president, essentially, is a guy named Carlos Alberto Carlotti Jr. A few years ago, he went to visit ASML in the Netherlands. ASML is the company that makes the machines that make chips. Without ASML's lithography machines, guys, basically nobody can manufacture advanced semiconductors. It's one of the most strategically important companies on the planet. During the visit, the CEO of ASML pulled up a world map showing all the countries that use their equipment. And when Carlotti looked at that map, he had what he later described as a shock. The entire map of Latin America was blank, not a single country. He asked the CEO why, and the CEO's answer was blunt: because you don't have the workforce to operate the equipment. Not the money, not the workforce. Carlotti came back from that trip with a mission, guys. USP needed to train people to build and operate semiconductor manufacturing, not just in theory, in practice. And you can't train people in something if you don't have the actual equipment to train them on. That's how the Pocket Fab was born. So, the man behind the actual design of the Pocket Fab is a professor named Marcelo Norich Zufo. He is 59 years old, he runs Innova USP, which is USP's Innovation Center, and he's a professor at the Escola Politecnica's Laboratory of Integrated Systems. When he talks about this project, people, he uses the phrase paradigm shift a lot. And honestly, he's not wrong, guys. Here's the concept. Instead of building one massive, expensive, polluting factory, guys, the kind that takes years and billions of dollars and can only be built by a government or a giant corporation, you build a small, modular, reconfigurable units that can fit in a space the size of a medium apartment. The Pocket Fab pilot unit sits in about 150 square meters. That's roughly the footprint of a two-bedroom apartment in São Paulo, and it costs 89 million reais to build, which is a lot of money for a university project, but it's a tiny fraction of what a conventional fab costs. We're talking about 1/100th of the cost of building a NVIDIA style factory, guys. Now, it does not compete with TSMC in terms of what it can produce. Let's be clear about this, okay? It won't be pumping out the most advanced chips in the world, but what it can do is impressive. The Pocket Fab can produce chiplets, which are smaller chips that can be combined into more complex systems, focused on AI and high-performance computing. It can also make sensors for environmental monitoring, IoT devices, components for the automotive and aerospace industries, and much more. The processing side involves things like lithography, basically using light to print circuit patterns onto silicon, metallizing, micro-manufacturing, and the heterogeneous packaging, which is the technique of combining different chiplets into a single, more efficient system. And it includes clean room modules, which are those highly controlled environments where even a single dust particle can ruin a chip. The target production capacity is up to 10 million chips per year in the first unit, with ambitions to scale up to 60 million as more units come online, guys. Okay, so here's the part that I think it's genius, and it's what makes this more than just a cool university project. The vision isn't to build one Pocket Fab. The vision is to build many of them all over Brazil, guys. Professor Zufo actually compared it to padarias or bakeries in English, right? You don't have one giant bread factory serving all of Brazil. You have thousands of little bakeries spread across the country, each one serving its local community. Why should chips be any different? The plan is to eventually replicate the Pocket Fab model in 9 more locations across Brazil, in industrial poles, potentially even in containers, so they can be moved to wherever the demand is. With a hub in the south, Pocket Fab for car sensors, agricultural region in the interior, Pocket Fab for precision agriculture sensors, each one adapted to local industrial needs. This is a completely different philosophy from how the chip industry works today. Right now, the entire world essentially depends on a handful of massive fabs concentrated in a few countries, guys. If something goes wrong, a war, a pandemic, an earthquake, you name it. In Taiwan, for example, supply chain collapses completely and globally. The Pocket Fab model is essentially a bet that the future of chip manufacturing should be decentralized and distributed, not concentrated. And Zufo points out something important. Brazil actually has a lot of what you need to make this work. The country has silicon, it has rare earth materials, it has water, it has energy, it has a huge consumer market. What's been missing is the process, the know-how, the trained workforce, the manufacturing infrastructure. The Pocket Fab isn't a solo project, guys. It's a partnership, and that's actually really important to understand. USP leads the chip design side. Senai São Paulo, Brazil's National Industrial Training Service, handles validation, industrial integration, and crucially workforce training. Fiesp, the Federation of Industries of São Paulo, brought institutional muscle and 5 million reais in funding. State government was represented at the launch by both the Secretary of Science and Technology and the Secretary of Government Relations. Serious people showing up for a serious project. The division of labor is smart as well, guys, because USP does the research and design, Senai connects it to real industry and trains the technicians, and Fiesp helps bridge to the private sector. The goal isn't a lab experiment, it's an actual industrial pipeline. At the launch ceremony in January 2026, they signed memorandums of understanding with industry associations including Anfavia, the Automakers Association, and others in plastics and connectivity. Real industry is committing to work with this thing. And alongside the Pocket Fab, USP also launched something called Gyro, Joint Artificial Intelligence Research Unit, a cluster dedicated to AI research infrastructure. So this isn't just about chips in isolation, it's about chips for AI, IoT, health tech, aerospace, and everything else Brazil needs to compete in. One more thing worth mentioning in this video, this project is designed to be cleaner than traditional fabs. Conventional semiconductor factories are notoriously resource intense. They use enormous amounts of water, energy, and chemicals. The Pocket Fab's smaller scale means it can reduce all of that significantly. The design actually incorporates sustainability as a core feature, guys, not an afterthought. For a country like Brazil with all of its environmental commitments, that matters a lot. Look, I want to be really honest with you guys. The Pocket Fab is not going to suddenly make Brazil independent from chip imports tomorrow, okay? That's not realistic. And the people behind it know that. And they're not claiming otherwise. But what it represents is a first step, guys. A real physical functioning first step. Something that actually exists, with equipment being installed, with the students being trained, with industry partners already lining up. Brazil has had grand technological ambitions before that didn't pan out, but this one feels different to me for a few reasons, guys. First of all, it's coming from a university, from researchers who've spent their careers thinking about this problem, not from a politician making promises during an election year like we discussed about the bullet train. Second, the model is novel. It's not just Brazil trying to copy what Taiwan did. It's Brazil proposing a completely different way of doing it. One that could be actually viable for emerging economies all over the world, not only in South America. And third, the timing is right. The whole world just woke up to the fact that chip dependency is a strategic vulnerability. The US is pouring hundreds of billions into its own chip industry. The EU launched its own Chips Act. India is building fabs, Japan is building fabs. Brazil could either watch all of that happen from the sidelines, or it could find its own lane. The Pocket Fab is a bet that Brazil can find its own lane. Professor Zufo put it pretty clearly, guys. Brazil has the raw materials, the energy, the water, the talent. What it needs is the will to connect those pieces and build the process from the ground up. And honestly, for a country that's been a blank on the ASML world map for its entire history, getting on that map, even with a modest start, feels like a pretty big deal. So that's the Pocket Fab, USP's bet that Brazil doesn't have to wait for permission from the rest of the world to start building its own tech future. I find this story exciting, guys, not because it solved everything, but because it's an actual attempt by actual scientists and engineers to take on a problem that has basically defined Brazil's technological dependency for decades, guys. And they're doing it in a way that nobody else has tried. If this works, and I mean really works, not just a pilot, but as a replicate model, Brazil could eventually export this idea to other emerging economies, other countries that are also blank on that ASML map. That would be something, in my opinion. As always, this is the kind of story that Brazil Unsubtitled brings to you. So if you have enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. We also have 3 categories. If you guys want to support the channel even more, go check them out. We have interesting perks in exchange for a small contribution. And it's going to go a long way for this project to keep on going. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao.